want to see how easy the news can spin the truth and create a false narrative that an entire population believes, and how hard it is to spot it? This story comes to you from College Park, where, according to Christopher Bridges, they live life fast and they're scared of the dark. Luda! And it has all the elements of a great story: an innocent victim, an unspeakable tragedy, and an empathetic scenario. Everybody who ever even thought of calling an Uber would see this and think, oh my god, that could have been me. The problem is, this story makes about as much sense as a urinal in a woman's room. And yes, I'm very curious to see how that joke holds up in 5 years. We live in a headline culture, and even if you're part of the estimated 30 to 40% that actually reads an article before forming an opinion, journalists are far more concerned with getting clicks than getting the truth. And every piece of coverage on this story has some variation of this little detail buried in it, glossed over amongst the bigger story of a pregnant woman being shot and the police still looking for this evil Uber driver that's on the lam. The mom-to-be used the Uber app to book her ride home. The notification informed her the driver would be in a black car. Instead, a white car showed up. She got in, but once they arrived to her destination, there was some sort of argument about the discrepancy. That's when police say the driver fired his weapon. Now, because the woman and her baby are fortunately going to be okay, and because I'm still tilted about the Uber driver that was murdered in a very preventable tragedy, I gotta call out the bullshit that's in this story and the hack journalist that let this fly. Could somebody please explain to me how this Uber driver magically showed up in a different colored car? Or maybe this story is actually about a woman who got into a car that wasn't an Uber. But pregnant woman gets in an argument after taking ride from a rando doesn't sound as good as pregnant woman shot by her Uber driver. And it's deeper than getting a story wrong. Things like this create a sentiment that we live in a world full of evil, opportunistic villains, and leaves the public thinking irrational things like most Uber drivers are just waiting for their chance to be randomly violent. And what doesn't make sense about that is, why would the guy drive the girl to where she wanted to go before shooting her? If he had evil intentions to start, wouldn't he just take her somewhere else? I'd bet dollars to donuts that what actually happened was that this woman called an Uber. While she was waiting, what you call a hack picked her up. It's like a slang term for an unlicensed cab. They're like the driver version of ticket scalpers. They're illegal and outdated, but believe it or not, they still exist. Remember in The Wire when Michael, Dookie, and Bug went to Six Flags? That was a hack that took them there. But unlike in The Wire, where Michael showed the hack that he had the money up front, I'm guessing for our story in College Park, that didn't happen because the woman thought she was using the Uber app. And once they get to the destination, the driver expected payment. She thought she already paid in the app. An argument ensued. I'm not saying it's right the guy shot her. All I'm asking you is, what's more likely? An Uber driver gets a request and on the way decides to make a pit stop to paint his car a different color, picks the girl up, gets offended because she doesn't like the new color, drives her to the destination, and then decides, why not start shooting just for kicks and giggles? Or a woman got tired of waiting for an Uber, got in the first car that showed up. When they got to the destination, there was an argument about payment. Unfortunately, reasonable stories like that don't sell. So instead of the truth, you get fake news that creates a fear and mistrust in the public and causes companies like Uber to play a PR game to protect their bottom dollar. Meanwhile, neglecting issues that are actually problematic, like the one I discussed in my last video, where an Uber driver was murdered in a very preventable tragedy. But hey, stories like this gets the media clicks, which gets the media money, so they're not going anywhere anytime soon. It's up to you to sift through the garbage. Stay woke, people.